I love children's books, especially those books that have meaning for adults, wisdom that can last a lifetime. And one of my favorite children's books is The Little Prince. It's a story of a little boy on a lonely planet, and he learns to love through his encounter with a fox and a rose. And here's one of my favorite passages. The little prince went back to meet the fox. "Goodbye," he said. "Goodbye," said the fox. "And now here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." "What is essential is invisible to the eye," the little prince repeated, so that he would be sure to remember. Today's gospel continues these spiritual questions that we have been hearing in the gospel passages over this past month. Last Sunday, we heard Jesus ask, "What do you want?" as a spiritual question. And today, we hear a similar question posed by Jesus. "What do you want me to do for you?" Think about that for a moment. Today, right now, what do you want Jesus to do for you? In this gospel from Mark chapter 10, verse 46 to 52, Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, just before that triumphant entry into the city. It's that triumphant entry we celebrate every year on the Feast of Palm Sunday. But along the way, Jesus encounters a blind man named Bartimaeus. He's identified as the son of Timaeus, a name that means son of the unclean, because Jesus was an outcast of the society. He was a man born blind, so he was outcast of the society. And he spent his life begging on the side of the road. Somehow, Bartimaeus identifies Jesus as the Messiah, and he calls out, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me. Have mercy on me." And the crowds try to shut him up. They say, "Keep quiet." And then it made him shout even louder, "Son of David, have pity on me." Jesus stops and hears that call and says, "Bring him over." So Jesus calls him over to him. And the crowd's now like, "Get up, he's calling you. Go, go, go." So the man comes over, and Jesus asks, he gets up, he immediately gets up. Bartimaeus, what's interesting, he gets up and he throws his cloak aside. It was his begging cloak. He would ask for money and then collect it with his cloak. He throws that aside and goes to Jesus. And then Jesus asks him this piercing question: "What do you want me to do for you?" Bartimaeus quickly responds, "I want to see." And that must have come from a place of his entire being born blind, being sent as an outcast, being forced to beg for life every day was a matter of survival. And with his whole being, he cries out to Jesus, "I want to see. I want to see rightly." Jesus heals him, so much so that he is now restored to wholeness back into the community. And he becomes a follower of Jesus. Bartimaeus now sees the road ahead of him. It's through Jerusalem. And what that means is through suffering and death and the cross. And still, he chooses to follow Christ. What is the twist in this story is what is not said, but you see the pattern in all of the stories before this, is that the disciples have been struggling all along the way to get it, to who and what Jesus is asking them to do. They still struggle to understand. what this means to follow Jesus. They struggle, they question, they argue, they fight about who's first, and they lose perspective. And here, just before they enter Jerusalem, a blind man who cannot see is restored to sight, and his spiritual vision becomes even more clear. He sees rightly with his heart. Bartimaeus gets it, and he's willing to cast aside everything that brought him survival, to enter into that mystery of dying and rising to life with Jesus. Christ heals him and restores him to the fullness of life in the community. He is made whole. This blind man, Bartimaeus, the son of the unclean, is now son of the clean and part of the community again. He no longer has to stand at the side of the road. He is now in the center and heart of the community. His vision and clarity allows him to see rightly with his heart of how he wants to live his life. So this week, I ask you, what do you want? And spend some time listening to Christ ask you that question. What do you want me to do for you? What do you want Christ to do for you? What is at the heart of the matter for you? What is at the depth of your soul? How are we willing to be changed? And how will we respond as the little prince did, that it is only with the heart the eyes of the heart that we can see rightly, the eyes of our faith that we can see the presence of Christ before us, that we can see rightly in love. Amen.